There was this guy called Jeffrey who wanted to buy himself a home. He was living in Auckland. What he discovered was that to buy a house, he had to find something like $900,000 because they're so insanely expensive. And so he reacted in a very logical way. He looked at the property market, how much he had to pay, and said, "You have got to be freaking joking. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to boycott this market. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go about 3 k's down the road and build my own house on a bit of farmland, right outside the outskirts of Auckland City." And what he also did is he got a group of friends together who were in the same situation and said, "Hey guys," and this is about 20, 30 other people, "let's all get together, buy a chunk of land off Farmer Jack just outside on the outskirts there, and we'll build our own little micro-village. And if we do it from the ground up, based on real building costs and imported kit-set houses and things like that, we can make a fantastic little green place, little green village, for about, $200,000, $250,000 a house, for a 2-3 bedroom house. And with a decent amount of land around it, so if anyone wants to get fertile and have lots of kids, you can build a sleep out or whatever, no worries." So they all made this plan to do this, but they discovered something. They discovered that they couldn't do this. They weren't allowed to. It was illegal. And so what do? They phoned up John Key and said, "Hey, John, we want to speak with you. We want to sort out what's going on here." And John Key, being super sociable and all that sort of a guy, said, "Sure, pop around to my place down in Wellington and we'll have a conversation to see what we can do." And so they went to John Key and said to him, "Look, what's going on, man? We just want to build our nice little super green eco village made up of about 30 houses. Farmer Jack's cool with it. We're cool with it. We got a property developer in to help organise and the structuring of the whole situation, what we want to build, and we can't do it, and we don't see why that's fair, why that's reasonable. Why on earth can't we just build our little village on the outskirts of Auckland City? We're not harming anyone. We're not harming the environment by any reasonable measure." And then John Key said to them, "Well, look, you're talking to someone who has no true power. My job is to do what the public wants, and if I don't do what the public wants, if I don't give them what they want, then they'll simply vote me out and get somebody else in to do their dirty work. And the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of Aucklanders do not want you to be able to do that. Because if you can do that, if you can build your own, basically boycott the market and build your own little house on the outskirts of Auckland, then everyone will do that. And if everyone can do that, then they can no longer sell their houses for $800,000, $900,000. Be impossible. You'll create this supply reaction, and they'll be forced to sell them for something more realistic, anywhere in the range of like $200,000 to $350,000. And again, if they do that, if we change the law to allow that to happen, then these people will not vote for us, vote for the National Party, will kick us out, and we'll end up with a Labour Greens government or whatever that will again do their dirty work for them." And then they went, "But that's disgusting," said these guys who wanted to build their village. I mean, why? That can't be justified. It's just not right. It's not fair. And then John Key looked at them again and said, "Well, this is democracy. Democracy, by definition, is majority rule. It's a function of numbers, not necessarily justice. Democracy is only just insofar as the democratic majority votes for justice. So, forget it. The only house you're allowed to buy is your parents' generation's houses, and you're going to have to pay an absolute fortune for them." But then they complained and they said, again, this is basically crony capitalism, using the government to exploit others unfairly by lobbying the government to change laws and rules to make sure that can happen. And it's extortion, basically. And John Key looked at them and said, "Well, I'm not going to deny that, but that's how it works." And that is the New Zealand situation right now. We keep talking about housing being a complex problem, but it's not. It's very simple. We cannot let the property bubble implode by allowing you to build your own little houses, your own little villages on the outskirts of Auckland, and making a deal with Farmer Jack to do that. That is not allowed to happen. Hence, we have enforced rural-urban boundaries, which were once called metropolitan-urban limits. The end.
Order. What we had was the metropolitan urban limit that we inherited from your lefty mates.
Yeah. Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is the Prime Minister defending the special housing areas policy where 97 of those areas have no home building on them to date? Because it was always his intention that this policy was designed to support the property speculators and the land bankers.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, members quite incorrect. In fact, the data I've given the House is correct. But, Mr. Speaker, what I don't support is the hard-working young couple who go out and buy a house, who borrow money against the equity that they put down, only to see that house price halve.